So next, I'm really delighted to welcome Caroline Sutton of Coaction Publishing, who's going to talk about an even newer collaboration, a campaign called Think, Check, Submit.
Good morning. It's very nice to be here. Excuse me. Actually, I have to I am from Coaction Publishing, but here today I'm actually wearing a different hat. I'm one of the members of the OWASPA board, Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association, and past president. So I'm actually making this presentation on behalf of OWASPA today, although I can never completely take off my other hats either. And just as an introduction, I'm wondering how many of you, like me, received at least one email last week, even though you're publishers, but did you receive an email last week asking you to submit to a journal that you've never heard of before and possibly from a publisher you've never heard from before? Yeah, look at that, and we're publishers. Okay. and like me, my research career is now almost 20 years ago, and when you're asking me, who is sociologist, medical sociology, but still, you're asking me to submit to a genomics journal, I'm thinking, you're really scraping the barrel here, people. Could be fun, could be a very interesting article, but certainly not high quality. And I think that we all recognize that the researchers that we serve are also experiencing this, and in much higher numbers than what we're doing. And so I'm really happy to present to you a campaign that launched last week. And this really was a collaboration, and I will get to the collaborators near the end, but between both publishing organizations, non-publishing organizations, that all recognize that there is a need today that we assist researchers in trying to sort out who are the serious publishers and journals out there, and what do we need to be wary of. So the campaign is called Think, Check, Submit, and you'll see that it looks a little bit like a traffic light, which was our intention. I hope, yes. So what is it? Well, this is a campaign. So we're not an organization, this is a campaign. And the aim of this campaign is to help researchers to identify what are the trusted journals out there. Because we do know that there are new journals emerging every single day. Very simply, we wanted to come and boil everything down to a simple checklist that would help researchers assess the credentials of the journals that they're considering. And of course, with an ultimate aim that is in all of our interests, which is to help ensure a corpus of quality literature. Because as we all know, if there's stuff out there that isn't quality, that isn't serious, at the end of the day, it really harms us as a whole. As publishers, but also beyond this, research as well. If we're not publishing serious material in serious publications, there's a lot for everyone to lose out there. Why? Well, as I know that you all know here in this room, more research is being published worldwide today than ever before. New journals are being launched every week. And just to quote a STM report from last year, that we're looking at a growth of 3 to 5% per year in the number of new titles. So for 2014, that amounted to almost 1,000 new journals. There have been some other studies recently that are trying to look at how many of them are serious and not serious. Some of those numbers are debated. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether they're 5 or 5,000 or 100,000. We really share a responsibility in making sure that everything out there is high quality, and that researchers, there will always be people that will come with lower quality journals and not as serious titles, but at least we can help arm the folks that we serve so that they can detect those. We know, of course, as well that there are stories of malpractice and deception on the rise. And obviously for researchers, it can be a bit of a challenge to find up-to-date guidance. They're looking for the blacklist. They're looking for a quick fix. Tell me quickly who I can trust and who I can't. And the truth is, it's not that easy. We can't just hand you a blacklist, because that list would be different tomorrow and the criteria will be different tomorrow. So hence the campaign. Because there are, of course, for researchers, very serious implications if they were to choose to publish in a journal that turns out not to be serious. That journal may have a low or perhaps no profile among peers, which will translate into few or no citations. It may very well be the case that, if this isn't a serious title, it's unlikely that that journal is indexed or archived. and thus it will be very hard for their peers to find and then cite or use and read. And they may very well experience a poor publishing experience in that they may discover afterwards that that work was not adequately peer-reviewed. They may also, in one sense, experience a very good publishing process because perhaps it goes very, very quickly. Because sometimes these, some journals are actually advertising that, but it may go at the expense of peer review. And obviously, at the end of the day, ultimately, they may damage their reputation. And of course, there are some researchers that are more vulnerable than others. So young researchers from perhaps some areas of the world where there's a real pressure to publish, who may not have as strong English skills as some of us and therefore have a harder time to sort of look at that website and understand whether the language is being presented in what seems to be an appropriate way. But at the same time, I'm sometimes shocked at some of the more senior researchers I speak with who have fallen for some things as well. So this isn't just about young researchers, it really is everyone. So just to show you, so last week there was a press release and to announce this campaign, and we think that the word is getting out to publishers. Next step is to get this more into the hands of researchers, obviously. This is the website, Think, Check, Submit, and as you can see, there's a home page. You can then click on Think, that asks some sort of basic questions. So the idea is before you submit, we want you to just sort of stop. Think about this. What are you doing? What are you considering? And then we've got a checklist. Okay, check these items. And then if you feel that you've answered yes to most of those questions, consider then submitting. So I'll just show you some of these. It is a very simple website because, as I say, this is a campaign. We are not a firm organization, but I'll show you there's quite a few of us involved, many people who are in the room today. It's a kind of slim thing. This is our Twitter account, so please find us and follow us. It is TCS_campaign. We've also been using the hashtag ThinkCheckSubmit. So when you click on the Think, basically it's just, are you submitting to a trusted journal? That's the bottom line. Is this the best one for your work? And, there can be various ways to answer that question. And then basically there's some questions that you're asked and then some sub-questions if you click on these. So, basically, do your colleagues know the journal? Do you know this journal? So talk to some of them, find out, have they heard of it? Can you identify and can you actually contact the publisher? And do you recognize any of the editorial board? As publishers, we try to encourage also others, be as detailed as you can about that editorial board because that gives an increasingly serious presentation. And if there are publication charges, are these very clearly stated so that we're not surprised afterwards? And is the journal clear about the type of peer review it uses? And does it clearly state how that peer review takes place? And then if you can answer yes to all or most of the checklist questions, only then should you consider submitting your work to that journal. We, of course, need you to join us in this campaign. As I said, we all share a need to collaborate in order to ensure quality. And the website, as I said, is thinkchecksubmit.org. We have an email for feedback. So if there's other things you think should have been there or other feedback you want to hand to us, we'd love to hear it. The Twitter, again, is TCS_campaign and the hashtag ThinkCheckSubmit. Those who are involved, just to get back to the collaborators, you'll notice on this list are both publishers, open access publishers, mixed model publishers, but also non-publisher organizations, and also organizations that are both sort of Western European, North American, but also representing other regions of the world, because this is a global issue. This is not something for Europe or North America only. So we would like to recognize ALPS, Biomed Central's been involved, the DOAJ, INASP, ISSN, Liber, OWASPA, Spark, Springer Nature, STM, Ubiquity Press, and UKSG. And as I said, we need you to get involved. So how can you do that? Well, visit the website, obviously, get to know what's there. We really need to get the word out to researchers. So it would also be very helpful if you could work with us to both tweet to your customers, maybe include this in your author guidelines, check, submit, and perhaps on an e-alert, a little tag. We support this campaign. Check this out, this website. And again, if you have, we're trying to look for some frequently asked questions, and you may be receiving frequently asked questions yourself. I know I often get called by librarians and saying, is this a journal you know about? Can we trust them? Perhaps you've heard some of the same things. So submit them, please, and use the ThinkCheck Submit hashtag. And I will just put a stop there because I know there'll be questions later on. Thank you very much.